Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let's wait a bit more, few more minutes, and we can start. So I think we can start. Okay, let's start this discussion. Okay, so welcome all. This is the second open call webinar of ODEON. Okay, so just like the first webinar, we're gonna go through a little bit what ODEON is. Okay, what is a project, what it's all about, what it's trying to achieve. We're going to have a technical deep dive into what the project wants to achieve technically and how the platform works as well. And then we're going to have a more clear view on how to apply. And then obviously we will be able to host your questions through a Q&A where Moises, Claire, and Arturo are going to be here to answer you. Okay, so yeah, you can see here who they are. So Moises is the project manager and project coordinator of Odeon. Claire is the open call manager, and Arturo is the technical team leader and technical coordinator of the project. So this being said, I will leave the floor to them, and we can start discussing.
Okay, so I will take the floor. First, as Rui has said, I will give a brief overview of what the ODEON project is so that you can be aware of where we're standing as a European funded project and how this open call is intended to be aligned uh, for what the project goals are. As you can see, in ODEON, we are a quite large consortium with 35 partners from different 13 countries. You can see them, all these logos of all these companies. So please, next slide. And some words about where we come from ODEON, is that we come from this topic that the Commission launched in 2023, which aim is to support the green and digital transformation from the energy ecosystem. So that we can do that, we can work towards the resilience of the system through the use of AI, IoT, piloting, and edge cloud solutions. So this project actually started beginning 2024, January, and it's a 4 years project, and we are intended to finalizing it in December next year. So I would say also a few words about the pilot phase afterwards, but we are testing, and the starting point also for some of the challenges that have been described is the data that we have from these 5 different pilot sites that we use in the project to test the solutions we are developing and to use the data that's coming from these sites. Next slide, please. So as mentioned before, the starting point for ODEON actually is how we have this need from transition from a centralized and fossil fuel-based system towards a more efficient one based on renewable energy systems, and also with this certain degree of independency and with a high degree of flexibility that we can benefit from the different assets that are on the edge of the energy system. So as this needs coming in ODEON, we have focused mostly this green and digital transition in three different pillars, which it's the expansion of the solutions through the edges, so that this implies, of course, some difficulty, some challenge in the controllability and operational of these assets that are on the edges. Also, how data from the edges also can be a challenge in terms of coordination in a way that all these edge devices can be this data be outreached and observed. So that's also that as standing as a pillar in ODEON. And finally, how there is this need for coordination between the different energy stakeholders, not only in terms of market and business terms, but also in regards to exchanging data, intelligence, and also keeping the network stability and its resilience. Next slide, please. So coming out of these three different pillars, we have defined and we are working towards in the ODEON project in 5 different innovations that help us going towards these main 3 pillars. And I would say a few words about these innovations. The central core of the ODEON project is the ODEON Cloud Edge Data and Intelligence Service Platform, which serves as a reference energy data space in which we implement all this energy data coming from the different pilots, but extended to the energy system. Then we also count with this ODEON catalog of AI artifacts, which they are different machine learning mechanisms that help us to orchestrate the different edge devices of the different pilot sites. But then also it's great to highlight that we are separating all these different modules that we are developed in order to classify them attending to the final user. And for that, we are developing different modules for distributed system operators, also for prosumers, but again, also for local energy communities and aggregators. Next slide, please. So as I had advanced before, we test our solutions, in 5 different demonstration sites, in an energy community in Aran Islands, in the south of Spain, in Granada as well, in a prosumer community that's on the island of Bornholm, in Denmark, but also in a rural area in France and also in a metropolitan area in Athens. So next slide. I would say just few words about the pilot sites, but again, and this is the question that we've been receiving a lot in the chat. Well, not in the chat, but in the channels, in official channels for the open call. But mostly this data will be part of that you can extract, especially for the development of your challenges. At this stage, and we cannot share this data right to you, but this presentation is intended to give you an overview of what is this data is going to come from, and that you will be using it for the definition of the challenge. So I would just say a few words about the different pilot sites so that you can understand the magnitude and the context of the different pilot sites, and hopefully to take it into consideration for the challenge definition. About the Aran Islands, you will be counting with smart metering data from 80 customers, also with some energy data from solar panels, but also data from prosumers and some EV chargers. Next slide, please. From the pilot site in Granada, we will be offering also smart metering data from tons of customers, but the prosumers also that we count in this area will provide some data coming out of mostly the smart plugs and some controllable assets there in this pilot site. Whereas also, as different from the Aran Islands pilot site, you will be also offered some data about the grid and some also data about the EV charges that are there in that area. Next slide, please. About the pilot site in Denmark, most of the same with the difference that you will also be counting with some data coming out of the windmills that are there in the island. Next slide, please. And more of the same about the pilot site in France, coming data of the solar power windmills, also about the different customers and prosumers that are part of the pilot site, and the data from the grid as well. Next slide, please. And lastly, also to comment the Greek pilot site, in which there will be data coming out of also smart meterings, PV plants, prosumers, and also the grid. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about the presentation, and I leave the floor to Arturo that will explain the technical details of the open call.
Thank you so much, Mrs. So after Luis' introduction and Moises' detailed view of who we are and what we are aiming to do, let me get a little bit into technical details for you to grasp exactly how we are going to do all these things that Moises presented, and especially when talking about our different pilot sites. So first things first, what we are aiming to create in ODEON from a conceptual standpoint is the integration on the energy sector ecosystem based on data and driven by intelligence. So that way ODEON aspires to pave the way for the envision and the ecosystem integration through a fourfold approach: data, intelligence, service, and macro level integration enablers. In order to do so, we are going to, let's say, divide our platform, our solution, into 6 main aspects. First, the cloud edge data and service platform, which shapes ODEON. It's going to be transparent, accessible, standards-based, and highly federated, acting as an open technological enabler. This federation topic links with this federated data spaces approach that we are following, the way that we shape our data enabler, let's say, and it's the way we have to achieve an interoperable and trustworthy data sharing across the whole energy sector value chain. Moreover, we are backed by artificial intelligence enabled data operations runtime management mechanisms, which help us to intelligently allocate workloads to computing nodes to that way optimize performance, latency, resource utilization, and energy efficiency. All in all, such mechanisms help us to ensure the robustness of the whole system. If we jump to the next step, we find the artificial intelligence operation stack, which in turn is what we should be calling the intelligence enabler. This stack enables performance and secure extraction of intelligent insights using a rich catalog of pre-trained, reusable, and edge optimize AI energy analytics pipelines. Then we offer as well a suite of data-driven and intelligence-powered solutions and energy services. So those will be the so-called service enablers. In turn, they are in charge of enabling resilient grid operations, empowering prosumers, promoting the decarbonization of the energy system itself, and also supporting DSOs, distribution system operators, in their search to optimize grid reinforcement investment. And finally, going for the last mile and thinking about the market, we find as well the so-called market enablers, which are in charge of democratizing energy access, facilitating non-discriminatory participation of both consumers and prosumers in energy activities, and also promoting transparent market transactions with both aggregators and DSOs. So we're going to split the next overview of our platform in two. And first, we will be presenting the view of ODEON through the Cloud Edge Data and Intelligence Service Platform. Our objective here is to share with you what came to be our understanding of the ODEON project's core concept. First, from this data and intelligence perspective, which involves data asset providers, data asset consumers, security administrators, and semantic model managers. Hence, these horizontal scenarios address broader data-centric concerns that apply to all energy data value chain stakeholders. These scenarios emphasize the integration, control, and value generation from data assets. Perhaps it's worth mentioning what a data space is. Perhaps you are all well aware of that, but please let me give this couple of ideas. Data spaces represent a transformative concept in modern data ecosystems, providing a secure and decentralized infrastructure that allows organizations and individuals to share, access, and process data seamlessly. When thinking about the energy vertical, energy data spaces shape a specific domain. It's an application of this concept and are designed to streamline the flow of energy-related data across diverse stakeholders in the energy sector. What ODEON does is performing the introduction of a reference federated energy data spaces implementation, which has been designed to facilitate the integration of the value chain around energy, for sure, and even touching other sectors' data. These ODEON federated energy data spaces comprises decentralized, interoperable, secure, and sovereign data sandboxes that enable all value chain stakeholders, including prosumers themselves, to have the capability to engage in secure and trustworthy data sharing. ODEON establishes the collective intelligence framework as well. But the introduction of data-driven intelligence into stakeholders' daily functions and operations through its, let's call it, groundbreaking data as a service baseline technology, which saves the ODEON Cloud Edge Data and Intelligence service platform. In this slide, we can see in the figure an approach on how things appear from this data and intelligence perspective. So what we are looking for in here is to achieve this interplay among centralized cloud, private cloud, and edge or IoT environments, emphasizing the platform's key building blocks: data interoperability and governance, data security and sovereignty, the link of those to cybersecurity itself, how it relates to the performance of a trusted data sharing, and finally, the application of artificial intelligence-based analytics over this data. All in all, ODEON is committed to somehow rebuild trust when performing data transactions. And how to do so? Well, we think that we could do so by enhancing transparency and reliability while enabling the enforcement of smart contracts. Now, going for a different approach, just to complement what we have just been saying, when thinking about this federated energy data space implementation, we see, for instance, that as a cornerstone of ODEON's approach, we find the development of a unified semantic data model, which in turn will serve as the harmonization instrument for all data collected and processed throughout the project. To achieve this, ODEON adopts the most prominent open standards in the field, semantic models and ontologies within the energy sector, such as different flavors of IEC, 61970, for instance, or Open ADR 2.0, or the most well-known, I would say, SARE for Ener. Moreover, ODEON will develop a standards-based open IoT gateway. This gateway will provide the necessary resources for conducting an orchestrated deployment and execution of ODEON federated data spaces and artificial intelligence containers. Additionally, it will host bundles of innovative data-driven and intelligence-enabled energy services and applications aimed at optimizing energy management and enabling the centralized control of IoT devices and DERs. In addition, ODEON establishes a collective intelligence framework. It does so by the introduction of data-driven intelligence into stakeholders' daily functions, as we were mentioning briefly before, and also in their daily operations as well through its data service baseline technology, the ODEON Cloud Edge Data and Intelligence Service Platform. On the other hand, by employing federated learning approaches and optimization methods, such as swarm intelligence across smart homes, for instance, and also across electric vehicles, ODEON will enable federated data and intelligence sharing among distributed swarms. These approaches will improve flexibility and energy management across DERs and flexible assets, such as self-consumption systems, DER programs, and bidirectional EV charging. Furthermore, these solutions will reduce latency and accelerate response times to grid resilience triggers, supporting rural power plants in delivering flexibility services to DSOs. And last but not least, data sharing in ODEON will be facilitated through the Data Asset Marketplace, which will employ the Federated Data Search and Exploration Engine to enable visual exploration of data assets available across the federated data spaces. This way, allowing stakeholders to obtain a deeper understanding of their contents and features. This data asset marketplace is complemented with the ODEON Data Recommender. It's a centralized component which intelligently matchmakes data demand with data supply, taking account of the metadata of each one of the data assets available, and also thinking on the semantic data model that we have put in place that facilitates the semantic annotation, search, and exploration of all available data assets in federated data space and data source. Upon data discovery, the data retrieval service will be triggered to serve the user, the participant of the data space, the selected data asset in the form or format preferred by this participant. And how will be done so? Through custom API endpoints generated in the Open API gateway across the various data space environments. All in all, this Cloud Edge Data Intelligence Service platform will be equipped with advanced cybersecurity features for the assurance of the integrated solution security through intrusion detection, network monitoring, and cybersecurity analysis and the subsequent proposition of prevention measures. In addition, the poisoning detection engine will be delivered at the AI level in order to ensure that we handle attacks that may try to maliciously manipulate the training datasets. And once in this approach, we will be presenting as well ODEON solution from a service and market ecosystem integration perspective, which you can roughly taste in the image that we have on this slide. The collection of innovative energy services and application foster the collaboration among prosumers, consumers, or DSOs, local energy community operators, and such. The ODEON Cloud Edge Data and Intelligence Service platform serves as the technological backbone for integrating all these stakeholders. That way, enabling a seamless mesh of service and market flows. So this ecosystem empowers stakeholders to enhance grid operations, maximize resource utilization, and promote sustainable energy practices. These vertical business scenarios reflect the core energy-related challenges and opportunities for key stakeholders such as ESOs, local energy community operators, and prosumers. All in all, these scenarios emphasize the transformative impact of ODEON's data-driven and intelligence-enabled energy services that we have been talking and presenting before. And going for the last part of this presentation, let me offer a few touches as well of ODEON's view from this service and market perspective. What we aim to achieve with the ODEON energy services and applications is to improve the monitoring and proactive management of power grids by leveraging the management of those through real-time insights and advanced analytics. These tools will allow DSOs to anticipate, address, and hopefully mitigate critical events Thinking about community or even individual levels, ODEON fosters the cooperation among different type of prosumers for them to maximize self-consumption and local energy independence through optimized energy management strategies in combination with P2P energy trading platforms. We will be facilitating efficient local energy exchanges, reducing reliance on external energy sources, and encouraging renewable energy adoption. This way, we'll be empowering prosumers and local energy communities operators to engage in an active manner in energy markets or transform demand side flexibility into a tradable commodity through formalized transactions and the representation by aggregators or large local energy communities operators. The reliable and secure provision of flexibility that we have been talking about will be achieved through both implicit, so based on price, and explicit, based on demand response strategies. Those strategies will be supported by advanced human-centric solutions, such as they already mentioned. Swarm intelligence enables smart home automation and bidirectional electric vehicle charging. ODEON also incentivizes investments in renewable generation and flexible assets. And it does so by the provision of tools for conducting an informed assessment and prioritization of viable pathways. By enabling this evidence-based decision making, all those services accelerate the decarbonization of the energy system in a resilient manner, expanding the role of prosumers and local energy communities in energy markets. Together, all these applications position ODEON as a comprehensive solution for addressing the challenges of the modern energy systems, fostering a decentralized, sustainable, and intelligent energy ecosystem. I hope this helped a little bit to understand how we are approaching ODEON's objectives from the technical standpoint. And for sure, you will be finding a more detailed view on the official guidelines and on the channels my colleagues have already been talking about, where you can pose your questions and clarify any potential doubts that may arise when you're preparing your proposal. So without further ado, I will give the floor to my colleague, Claire.
Thank you, Arturo. Right now, I'll talk about the open call. As you're all aware, the open call has already launched on the 8th of April, and it will be closing on the 9th of July, so we're more or less halfway through. We are looking to target beneficiaries, all types of entities. So you can be a university, you can be a business, small or large. You can be any type of legal entity, as long as you participate not as a consortium, but as an individual entity. So we're looking for single entities. And we are looking to focus on SMEs and startups. We are open to all types of entities. So it's really a matter of developing a really convincing application. But we believe SMEs and startups are a really good fit for this open call. And finally, you also need to be from an EU member state or associated country. If you do not fall within an EU member state or associated country, you are not eligible to participate in this open call. At the end of the day, we are looking to select 20 single entities. So it's a highly competitive call. There's a lot of interest. We're seeing very high numbers in terms of application drafts. But at the end of the day, we need to select just 20 projects run by single entities. So what are we offering? So to those 20 projects, we are offering up to 60,000 euros. So you can even request less if you like, but it will be maximum 60,000 euros, which you will receive over 4 stages. And we'll talk about that in another slide. And on top of that, you'll be gaining access to a 10-month-long support program. So during the support program, you will have check-ins with mentors, and they will give you business and also technical support. And as a result of participating in the support program, you will have the opportunity to validate your services in real-world conditions, which will boost your market readiness. And as both Moises and Arturo mentioned, we have 5 large-scale pilots across Spain, Greece, France, Ireland, and Denmark, and you'll be able to access data through these pilots. So what is an eligible activity? So I mentioned what type of entity we're looking for. Now we're talking about what is eligible in terms of activities. So we're looking for projects that are focused on designing, developing, and validating data-driven energy services or applications on top of the platform, the ODEON platform we described earlier. As I mentioned, a key component of this support program is testing and validating these services in ideally real-world conditions across the 5 pilots. And ultimately, we really want to make sure we are looking to create impact in the energy vertical, in the energy domain, both from a technical perspective, but also from a business perspective, as we talked previously. So here are just a couple of nuggets of advice. We're really looking for proposals that will focus on the design, development, and validation of solutions that will give importance to leveraging federated energy data sharing, and will be using AI-based analytics and intelligence services. In terms of architecture, it should operate through cloud edge architectures and should focus, of course, since we're talking about energy, in supporting renewable energy integration and improving energy management and grid resilience. In terms of do's and don'ts, again, these are some more tips. We're not looking to duplicate what already exists. So the ODEON project has already created a set of services. We're not looking to replicate those services. We're looking to extend, rather, the platform functionality. And those services that you will develop will sit on top of this platform. We're looking also for specialized analytics and AI pipelines and domain-specific intelligence. So as I mentioned, well, as all of us have mentioned, ODEON is already providing federated data spaces, data ops, semantic frameworks, cybersecurity, and more. So we're not looking for competing platform infrastructures or alternative marketplaces or ledgers, and we do not want to replicate data governance, orchestration layers, or semantic interoperability. Now to talk a little bit more about the challenges. So I'm not going to go into detail about every specific challenge, but we do have 13 challenges, and you can only select one challenge per application. You can submit multiple applications. So you can submit up to 3, but only one will be selected. Okay, and all of this is explained in the Open Call Terms and Conditions document, which I'll talk about in a minute. But as you can see, you have a choice of 13 very varied challenges, so there should be something for everyone. And the detail of these challenges can be found in the document called Open Call Terms and Conditions Annex. Just a note, in case there are attendees from the first webinar, in case you've decided to hear us explain the ODEON Open Call again, you may notice that the challenges have changed because we had to make a minor update, and you should all have received a notification via the platform that there was this update made, so everyone should already be aware. But just in case, do take a look at the challenges if you have already created your application on the platform and selected a challenge. So make sure that it is aligned with the new list of challenges. On top of that, I mentioned the Open Call Terms and Conditions document, but alongside that, we have another supporting document called Technical Guidelines. And I think it's a key document to reference because it really gives detail on the ODEON architecture, which we described, And there's more information about the existing applications and artifacts that have been developed through the ODEON project. And finally, there's also information on what is expected from the applicants in terms of how you can contribute and extend the platform capabilities. Okay. I assume that all of you have already accessed the microsite of the Open Call, where you will find the Open Call application form. But if not, you can access the link through this presentation, which we will share after the webinar. But essentially, this is the landing page for the Open Call, and you will be able to access the application form from here. And as I mentioned previously, a key document, I cannot stress this enough, for the Open Call is the Open Call Terms and Conditions, because it is the guide on how to apply. It will give you the Open Call basic conditions which you need to satisfy in order to be eligible. So if you do not satisfy the Open Call basic conditions, there's a very high chance that you will not be evaluated positively. So really take a good look at that. And in this document, we also provide information on the evaluation process for you to understand the different checks, the different evaluation stages, the expected timeline, and so on and so forth. And I'll talk about this briefly in another slide. But as you can see, there's quite a few stages in terms of evaluation. Again, seeing that it's a highly competitive call, there will be a very rigorous check at each stage. And finally, there is also the signing of the contract, if you're selected, between the consortium and yourselves. And this subgrant agreement draft, it's a draft, so it could be subject to change, is available on the microsite as well. So if you want to take a look, you can see if the terms specified in the contract are satisfactory, as in that you are able to satisfy those terms. Because if you get selected and you read the terms and don't agree with them, then it may create an obstacle, obviously, in your participation. So I do recommend that you take a look at the draft subgrant agreement. And finally, in this document, we also discuss the payment conditions, so how you will be paid, at what point, how you will be evaluated during the 10-month support program. And lastly, there is also information on how to contact us, when you can submit complaints, and the annex concerning the description of the challenges, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit about the application form in case you are not familiar. The application form is fully online, so you need to access the ATS platform. And as you can see, it's broken down into different components. And the first, we talk about basic information. So we ask you to provide the project, excuse me, project title, the project acronym, description. And there you will have to select that one challenge and provide information about the contact person in case we need to contact you when we need to provide the results. And another important question is, we ask you if you are financially or personally linked to the ODEON consortium partners, because we need to take conflict of interest very seriously. And we check for conflict of interest at all stages of the evaluation and even at application stage, because this needs to be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. And unfortunately, if there's a very strong an obvious case of conflict of interest, you will not be eligible. Okay, and then in terms of legal information, we ask you for your legal status. So what type of organization are you? And as I mentioned, this open call is open to any type of organization, as you can see on the left. And we also ask the applicant type, because we would like to know if you are a supplier, so you will be providing the technology and services, or you are a user, so you'll be benefiting from those energy-driven applications. In any case, whether you are a supplier or a single user, you still need to develop an application. So the scope of the open call is to develop an application or service that will sit on top of the ODEON platform. Now, the next 3 slides focus on, say, the main sections of the application form, which is where our focus will be in terms of scoring your application. So if you're familiar with Horizon Europe or Horizon 2020, this is a pretty standard application form in terms of excellence, impact, and implementation. So you will already be familiar with the format, let's say. But for excellence here, we're looking for you to describe the objectives and ambition of your project, why you believe it's innovative, and also why your approach is credible, right? We need to fund projects that are credible and can actually be delivered in 10 months. And in addition to that, we allow you to upload a PDF presentation of no more than 3 pages, in addition to what you will provide in the fields. Same goes for impact. With impact, we're looking for you to describe the market opportunity and competition, your commercial strategy, and how you plan on scaling after the end of the support program. And we also care about the environmental and social impact of your project. And once again, you can upload a PDF to supplement what you've already added in the application form. And finally, we have the implementation section, which is about your work plan. We ask you to upload a Gantt, which is basically a timeline of how your work is going to be delivered across the 10 months. We ask you to provide information on your team members because we need to evaluate whether you have the skills and resources to carry out the work that you're proposing, and as well as any resources that are required to deliver your project. And separately, we also have a budget form embedded in the application form. So remember that the maximum funding we can offer you is 60,000. So if for whatever reason you exceed the 60,000 in your budget calculations, that budget will need to be co-funded by you. So if you need 65,000, you can include that in the budget, but be aware that that extra 5K will be funded by you, the applicant, not by the project, okay? And then there are some other sections: statistical section, ethics issue, and declaration of honor. Sorry, in the statistical section, we're basically collecting some information about how you heard about the open call, but also we have a question on gender. So gender is an important component as well. So we do prefer well-balanced teams. With respect to ethics, we also want to be sure that what you're proposing is ethically sound. We do have ethics checks. So obviously you can propose something that is completely radical, because we need to make sure that whatever you propose that has an ethics component needs to have a mitigation, right? A risk and mitigation approach. And the declaration of honor is concerning you accepting the terms and conditions of your participation in the open call. So it's really important that you accept the terms, because if you don't, that means you're also disqualified because you are not willing to participate according to the requirements of the call. So it's important that you take a look at that as well. So I mentioned briefly both aspects here. So I'll just touch upon this one last time. This is the process. So this is kind of like the applicant journey in terms of the stages that you might be involved in from beginning to end, especially if you're selected, right? So obviously on the 9th of July, we will be closing the open call. And there will be a first check. The first check is to make sure that the applications that were submitted are actually eligible. So as I mentioned in the open call terms and conditions, we have the basic conditions outlined, and that is when we check to see if you have actually met those conditions. Then we have another check called the in-out scope screening, and here we are basically checking to see if your project is actually really in scope of the ODEON project and has a European dimension, okay? And this is also detailed in the open call terms and conditions, the specificities of this screening, but it is really important to ensure your success. It's really important that you address the scope of the open call and align it with the ODEON project and the needs of the ODEON project. If you don't pass these 2 checks, you will receive communication saying that you have been rejected. If you do pass, There will be another stage where we will be recruiting independent or external evaluators who will be reviewing and scoring the applications. And then following that, there will be a consensus meeting whereby a body called the selection committee will discuss the scores, discuss the ranking list in a top-down approach. So those with the highest scores will be discussed first, and a selection will be made whereby a number of projects will be invited to a jury day. And the jury day is a pitching event. So those who are invited to the jury day will have to present in 5-10 minutes their projects, and there will be jurors who will be asking questions and scoring once again your projects. If you pass the jury day, you will be invited to a formal check, which is a legal check, where we ask you for your documents to confirm that you are who you say you are. So we need to make sure that you are legally who you say you are financially stable, etc., etc. So this is a check that we need to do before signing the subgrant agreement. Of course, you will be notified if you pass or don't pass. So there will be communication along the way, as indicated in this image. But if you are invited, you will then, like I said earlier, be invited to sign the subgrant agreement, which is the contract between the consortium and yourselves. Excuse me. And lastly, you will be paid, sorry, not in 4 stages, but in 3 stages. That's my mistake, 3 stages. So you'll be paid at different points upon the delivery and evaluation of your work. So we are paying in a lump sum methodology. We are using the lump sum methodology. So what happens is you need to deliver the work by the deadline, which will be defined. And then your work will be evaluated by a committee. And once that has been approved, you will be receiving your tranche of funding. And that applies to all 3 stages. As you can see, we have the delivery date, which is the deadline. So after month 1, you need to complete deliverable 1. After month 6, deliverable 2. After month 10, deliverable, or by month 10, deliverable 3. And the payment will be 1 month after the deadline, because as I mentioned, there's going to be a reviewing process, and of course, it takes time for the payment to arrive in your accounts. But in essence, this is more or less the timeline that you will be following. And in terms of the grant that you will receive 15% in the first stage, then 50, and then 35. Okay. So maximum funding 60,000. And that's all. I think I'm leaving this slide here in case you haven't joined the ODEON Discord channel, where we announce information, news, and answer questions in the channel. And on top of that, we also have a mailing list. So if you prefer writing to us directly, you can do that. The email is also included in the open call terms and conditions. And we're more than happy to assist you. So I think that's it. The presentation is over, and we have very little time for questions, actually, I realize now.
Okay. Yes. So I just put the sorry about that. I'm gonna send the Discord to everyone, okay? So that you have access to the Discord. So basically, the Discord channel is a sort of help desk that we can use. You can also send an email to odeon dot helpdesk@fundingbox.com. We will be able to help out with all of that, okay, as well, whatever questions you don't have here. So I see that there are a lot of questions that people have been asking. Okay, some of them have already been answered. So yes, we will try to speed up a little bit this process. Okay, but let's first batch some of the questions that some of the participants have already done. So Andrea Falconi, he's asked so our Swiss company is eligible for funding, and if we can share the presentation slides after the webinar. So I can disclose regarding the presentation slides. Claire has already said we will share them with you guys. You will also have the recording on the YouTube channels of Odeon and Funnybox for you to check. And regarding Swiss, I think Claire can give more insight into that.
They should be. I will double check for you. You should be able to find well, for sure the eligible countries are on the drop-down menu. So any entity that's listed in the drop-down menu is eligible, but I believe Switzerland is there. I can do a quick check if you like.
Okay, great. Yes, let's move forward now. Okay, so we have a lot of questions from Roslyn. So Roslyn is okay. He has asked a lot of questions, but let's focus on the main ones. Okay, so can applicants from Ukraine apply? So Ukraine is an associated country of Eurasian Europe. Are Ukrainian legal entities and sole proprietors eligible? And are there any extra requirements like security checks, due diligence, additional documents necessary? Anything necessary because it's Ukraine?
So this is I'm going to give a similar answer to the previous one. Again, in the drop-down menu, if you're from an associated country, you are eligible. So that's for sure. I believe Ukraine is eligible. So yes, the answer is yes. I mean, again, once you click the drop-down menu, when you're filling out the application form, you should be able to see Ukraine. If you don't, please reach out. But I'm going to do a quick check now, just to be sure. And no checks. I mean, at this point, what's important is that, as I mentioned, you review the requirements in the open call terms and conditions, and we will be making checks along the way. But the really, say, intense check beyond the open call terms requirements is done once you've been selected, and that would be the formal check when we will be requiring more information about your organization from a legal and financial perspective, but not at this stage. So at this stage, what's important is that you are meeting the scope of the open call, that you are a single entity, that you are going to be developing a service that is not a duplication of what already exists, and that you come from a member state or associated country. So those are the basic terms. Please, once again, refer to the open call terms and conditions and read those conditions really well to be sure that you tick all those requirements. And that is all that is required for this stage.
Great. Thank you, Claire. So moving on to the next question, are individual entrepreneurs, and also from Ruslan, okay? So are individual entrepreneurs, sole proprietors, self-natural employed persons eligible, or only registered legal entities like LLCs, etc.? If only legal entities, what is the minimum company age at the date of submission?
So definitely not natural persons. It has to be a legal entity. It needs to be registered. I think it just needs to be registered before the signing of the subgrant agreement. But this is a question I would take to my legal team. So I would prefer if you could send me an email. I'm not sure if, because I feel like this question may have been answered. I'm not sure if you've already reached out to us before via email. But if not, I can definitely request more support from my legal team to be sure that I provide you the specific date to make sure that you are eligible.
Okay, so moving forward, is the funding a lump sum tied to milestones? I think we have covered that, yeah. Or is
Yes,
it reimbursement of actual costs with
no,
supporting
lump sum.
documents? Lump sum, yes. Tied to milestones, yes. And so if lump sum, what is the tranche split, and is pre-financing available at kickoff?
So as I mentioned in my last slide, it's the first tranche will be 15% after month 1, which is the delivery of the individual mentoring plan. So you'll be receiving the first tranche of money by month 2. And there's no pre-financing because the work with the first task is really the development of a document together with your mentors. So it's not really heavy in terms of resources. So you could consider it a pre-financing, but it's not that you'll be receiving money before actually doing the work. You'll be receiving money in month 2 of the 10-month support program.
Okay. I think the next one is more towards Arturo. Okay, so will winners get access to data and infrastructure from the five ODEON pilot sites for development and testing? In what format, APIs, synthetic data sets, or on-site access?
Thank you, Reed. Yes, indeed, the winners of this open call phase will get access to those data and infrastructure from the pilot sites, but to those related to the project, to the goal of his her application, right? In what format? Well, winners will be able to interact with the platform primarily through standardized interfaces for this data access. So there will be some APIs in place that will be the ones employed by beneficiaries to get access to this data.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Arturo. Now this one is more towards Claire, or maybe also, I mean, whoever wants to
Yeah, don't
pitch in.
worry about
But
that.
is there a liaison or a mentor from the consortium partners assigned to each funded sub-project, or how does it work?
Yes, it's going to be that way. We're going to allocate some mentorship
Mhm.
to take care of the doubts and issues that our mentees face along the way during the project execution. Yeah, don't worry about that. There's already a set of consortium partners or representatives of the consortium partners that are willing to pay their services as mentors, and yeah, they will be ready to go the moment the projects are funded.
Great. Okay. Okay. So, and regarding the IP of the developed solution, so who owns it per se? Is it the sub-grantee, the consortium? Is it shared, open source, licensing requirement? What's the deep? I mean, what's the issue here? I mean, what's the answer here?
I can provide some information. So what I would recommend is you take a look at the sub-grant agreement draft, which is the contract that I mentioned, which
Hmm.
is available on the microsite. We are only interested in the foreground, not the background. So whatever you've produced prior to the project obviously belongs to you. And the foreground is to be decided in the sense that, again, it very much depends on what you'll be developing and with whom. So this is something that will be agreed upon, not forced upon you. And we do really encourage open source. We're always encouraging open source. It's not a requirement, meaning, of course, you can decide what you provide as open source, but we do. The European Commission in general is happy to see open source projects or code rather. I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything. Okay.
Okay, no, okay, good. I'm sorry, we need to be fast because there's a lot of questions, so we need to go through them all. So we've already gone through. If we have here a question regarding the single entity, if a single entity can apply alone, or is a consortium partner of two partners from different countries required, they can apply alone, and if they wish to go with a consortium, they can also go with a consortium. Can one applicant submit to multiple
So, sorry, I
challenges?
didn't understand.
Sorry, yes.
Sorry, no,
Yeah.
Rui. The previous comment was about consortia,
If a legal
right?
a legal entity can apply alone, or if there is a if it's necessary to apply as a consortium,
No,
right?
no, no. We are not accepting consortia.
We're
Consortia are
not
not
accepting
allowed.
consortium. Okay, okay,
So no, consortia are not allowed. So just a single entity, just one participant, and that's that.
okay.
If you need to involve, for whatever reason, if you need to collaborate with another entity, you can allocate some budget. We usually recommend not more than 15% of your total budget towards engaging with another entity. But of course, the main work needs to be carried out by the applying entity. And you could contract another entity to carry out some of the work if needed. But it's not a consortium-based open call, no.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that, Claire. Can one applicant submit to multiple challenges in parallel, or do you need separate applications?
You can only select one challenge per application, but if you have multiple ideas, they would need to be different challenges. So you cannot submit 3 ideas under the same challenge. It will need to be 3 ideas under 3 different challenges, and that's the maximum you can submit. So no more than 3 applications, and all of this is detailed in the Open Call Terms and Conditions document.
Great. What is the maximum share of budget that can go to subcontracting, like freelancers, like third-party developers, and so on?
15%.
15%. Yeah. Okay. And the evaluation criteria weights, what are the evaluation criteria weights? I mean, we've already gone through that. Excellence, impact, implementation. How many sub-projects do you plan to fund per challenge?
So we're not funding per challenge, we're funding the best in class project. So it could be that some challenges aren't addressed because we cannot, I mean, this is something that needs to be agreed upon by the project per se, but we are looking to select 20 of the best projects. So it could be that maybe we have 2 covering challenge 1 and none covering challenge 2. This can happen. So it's not so much a case of having covering all challenges necessarily, but this has to be decided. This will be decided later on. And sorry, there was another question related. Rui.
So if what are the evaluation criteria weights?
The evaluation criteria, right? Okay, so as I mentioned, excellence, impact, and implementation are the 3 main sections that you would be reviewed against in terms of scores. So each has a weight of 5 points, meaning the maximum you can get is 15 points. And in terms of threshold, the way it works is you need to reach minimum 3 points out of 5 per section, and a minimum of 10 out of 15 to qualify as above threshold. Anything below those thresholds will not be even considered because you haven't met the threshold.
Okay. Okay, so if an application is rejected in cutoff 1, can a revised version be resubmitted to cutoff 2?
There are no cutoffs. This is just one open call with one deadline.
Yeah. Okay, exactly. Is English mandatory for all documents, or can supporting documents like registration certificates, like company statutes, be submitted in their original language with a simple translation?
We are not, if you take a look at the application form, we never ask for this information at this stage. In the open call terms and conditions, one of the conditions is that all information needs to be in English. So we cannot have any mandatory section, okay, in any other language. Anything that's in another language will be ignored. Then if you are selected, so we're talking after all the evaluation stages, the jury day, etc., you are selected and you are engaged in the formal check, which is where we ask for legal documentation, such as statutes and so on. We will be asking for English translations.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so should we declare in the proposal which pilot site we will validate our solution in, or this can be chosen during phase 1 of project implementation?
You need to prepare the application talking about where are you planning to conduct your experimentation. Yeah. The challenge you are addressing should be linked to one of the scenarios that we are presenting in ODEON.
Claire, you wanted to say something? Okay, yes. So basically, you should prepare your proposal according to wherever you want to test and validate your solution in. Okay, take that into consideration. So moving forward, is there a list of existing modules, including functional descriptions and APIs, that is available?
Yeah, sure. You can go to our official official technical guidelines to find a description of what's already available.
Okay,
So
so
check them out the moment you are starting to prepare your proposal.
okay, so the technical guidelines should give an insight into this. Okay. We've talked about smart contracts, marketplaces, and data sharing. So, do we also consider blockchain a crucial component in ODEON? What framework is used? Hard Hat, Foundry, etc. What framework is used for blockchain inside ODEON?
Again, I would don't say I will do it crucial, but this is for sure a part of our solution, as we have been discussing today. We are following a DLT-based approach in order to make our smart contracts compliant with the current situation. So again, yes, check it out in our guidelines and follow this DLT-based approach in order to compile your solution, your project.
Great. Thank you so much, Arturo. Next question
Okay.
is regarding if there is an updated list of project deliverables. There are some deliverables listed on Cordis EU website, while the deliverables section on your project website currently appears to be empty. If available, could you please share the latest list of public access deliverables? Moises, I think this
Yeah,
is for you.
this goes for me. Yeah, actually, the deliverables that have been accepted are from the first part of the project until month 18. Let's say that what you will find in these deliverables that are available on Cordis is what has been translated to these technical guidelines. The details about the pilot sites, the modules, this is the part that we are working right now in this second reporting period, which documents cannot be accessed by you because we have not had the second review and we have not had these documents accepted by the Commission. In order to make them public available for review, they need to be previously accepted by the Commission. We're having our second review in September, and these documents will be available during the lifetime of the open call. But at this stage, they are not publicly available for you.
Great, thank you so much, Moises. Obviously, whenever we have it available, you'll be able to access them via our website and our channels as well.
Yeah, of course, and also bear in mind that with this guiding process that we are expecting for the open call, you will have also some hints about these details and these technical details that you will be directly they can be directly asked for the main technical responsibles of the project. So yeah, bear in mind that also for the open call lifetime.
Okay. Thank you so much, Moses. Okay, so we have two other questions regarding the recording and if you will receive the presentation. Yes, the recording will be available again on YouTube and also on YouTube from Funding Box and ODEON channels as well. And you will also receive the presentation after this webinar. Regarding is the budget and financial reporting follows lump sum procedure or a kind of financial reporting? I believe we are talking about lump sum. Is that correct, Claire?
Lump sum, yes.
Lump sum. Okay, exactly. The presentation will be shared. Yes. What else? Okay, so now we have the other side as well. Regarding the team field, small SMEs often rely on funding for hiring. Could we mention as part of the team people that are not currently employees but will contribute to the project if funded?
So I'm not sure I understand the question. I think at the end of the day, are you talking about contractors? Because as I mentioned, you can budget for that under purchase costs, okay, the field purchase costs in the budget form. But in essence, you will not be able to add another entity. So it's not that you can hire or collaborate with a second entity once your project has been selected. It will just be you, the legal entity applying to the open call. So what I suggest you do is you need to think well of how you'll be delivering your project, right? With the 60,000 euros over 10 months, you need to think of your resources and consider if you need externals to contract them.
And while we're at it, again, an association can apply to this open call, correct?
If it's a legal entity, yes.
If it's a legal entity, yes. Okay. Okay, so moving forward, um, per technical guidelines, Section 6, ODEON already provides AI ops, lifecycle management, data observability engine, and federated AI containers as platform capabilities. For challenge one, monitoring governance and lifecycle management, would a proposal that delivers a specialized energy domain evaluation and observability layer built on top of ODEON AI Ops API, for example, for consuming the existing AI Ops services and adding domain-specific governance for a concrete energy use case, be considered complementary, or would it be flagged as replicating existing platform infrastructure under the non-overlap requirement? I think this is more for Arturo. I don't know if you got everything or not. I mean, it's a very
Um,
dense question, but
yeah, let me read it again. Really sorry. Uh, uh, well, at first sight, if I'm correctly grasping your message, I would say that's something that complements what we offer, and what we are somehow asking for in this first challenge. Um, yeah, I think you are not replicating what we already have, if I'm understanding it correctly. So there wouldn't be any overlapping. Nevertheless, if we want to just send me a particular little bit more detailed reference over the email, and I will check it out and go back to you with a more precise answer. Ruslan, please.
yes, for more complex questions like this, I would prefer for you guys to maybe send a message to Odeon, send an email to Odeon .helpdesk@fundingbox.com. We will be able to share more information and more detailed information regarding this via there, okay? I know that you also have another question here, Roslyn, with that, okay, with a little bit more complex. What I would suggest is sending an email to the help desk email, and then we can specify better what we're looking at here, okay? Then we also have another one, which is from Dimitri, okay? Can a team submit an application on behalf of a private entrepreneur who is a team member?
By private entrepreneur, I understand that this is not a legal entity. So I'm not sure if I've understood, but you can have. So at the end of the day, the important thing is not who drafts the application, but who will be delivering the project. So if there's a if I've understood well, if there is a legal entity that has hired a consultancy to draft the application, as long as the application is all about the project that's going to be delivered by the legal entity, that's fine. But if this entrepreneur is a natural person, let's say, not a legal entity, then you're not eligible.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Claire. Then we have another one from Stavros. So is the data only accessible inside the Odeon platform? In other words, shall the service be developed inside the platform? Does the platform offer GPU access for AI development? Arturo, yeah.
No.
It's in the chat, not
In the chat.
necessarily in the
Oh,
Q&A.
sorry. Okay. Yeah, I was checking the other part. Uh, well, your services can be developed outside of a platform, but you will eventually need to interact with it in order to retrieve data and services, or make real that interaction with our platform. I would say. Does the platform offer GPU access for AI development? No, our audio platform does not provide that kind of assistance.
Oh, great.
hardware or GPUs and such.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Arturo. Now we have another question from Rui Melo. So he is asking, could you please confirm what milestones are expected throughout the project, how the payments are distributed across these milestones, and at which stages of the project the payments are typically released? Additionally, is there any pre-financing provided at project start, or are payments only issued after milestone validation and approval?
So we've already addressed this question before, and in my presentation, as I mentioned, we're using the lump sum methodology, so there's no pre-financing per se. The first payment will happen in month 2 of your participation in the 10-month-long support program. You will be paid in 3 stages. The first payment will be 15% of your total budget, then 50, then 35. And you will have to, as I mentioned, provide deliverables or milestones, let's say, and these will be reviewed by a body, like a mentoring committee, a selection committee, to make sure that you meet the requirements. And those are detailed again in the open call terms and conditions. You will see the information of how you will be evaluated. And a scoring will be applied. So for instance, deadline compliance. Have you met the deadline? Okay, you have. You've received the points for that. Have you provided a high quality deliverable from a technical perspective? Okay. And then there's a vote, right? There's a scoring mechanism applied. So based on that, if you pass, you will receive the funding after the evaluation of your work. Once the presentation will be shared, you'll be able to see the slide that I presented that explains, but not just in the slide, actually. If you go to the Open Call Terms and Conditions document, that is available on the microsite, you'll be able to see this information. That table is actually in there.
Yeah.
So I think we have 5 more minutes for questions.
Yes, 5, 6 more minutes. So if you want to make any further questions, type them now, okay? We will also answer now one last. We'll be addressing this question from Gianluca, which is how much time will the evaluation procedure take?
It could take about 2 months. It could take about 2 months. As I mentioned, you will be notified twice. You will be notified after the in-out scope screening, which could take, I would expect you could hear from us between 3 to 4 weeks. So in a month after the open call deadline, you will hear from us to know if you've passed or not the first checks, let's say. And then you will hear from us again after the subsequent stages, which is the external evaluation and the jury day participation. So I expect about you will hear from us after 1 month and then after another month. So in total, it'll be about 2 months.
Okay. In the meantime, we also got another question from Kyriakos. Can we submit an application while our startup is still under legal preparation, and if selected, establish a legal entity before signing the contract?
Yes, so this is what we had a similar question before this. I would prefer if you could send an email via the ODEON help desk, because that way I can get confirmation from my legal team on the exact date. Let's say my understanding is as long as it's been legally established before the contract is signed, you should be safe. But I do want to check in case there is a requirement for you to be established before that for financial reasons, because we will need to make sure that you are financially stable, right? So if you are registered too late, it could cause some issues with the formal check if you are selected. So I'd prefer if you could send me an email just to be sure I'm giving you the right answer.
Another question from an anonymous attendee. So, how many applicants are you expecting approximately?
As I mentioned in my first slide, we'll be funding only 20.
Okay.
In terms of how many we will be reviewing, at this point, we are saying that it's a highly competitive call. So the competition is high, let's say. That's why it's so important to review the documents that we've provided to you and to really understand that you are aligned with the call and the challenges that we've described.
Yes, I'm just gonna leave here again some resources for you guys, okay? We are 3 minutes in, well, 3 minutes from the end of the call. I want to thank you so much, everyone, for attending, okay? You have here oh, sorry, yes, Claire, you wanted to say something.
Just one thing, because I realize nobody asked this question, and I think it's important to highlight. Excuse me. In terms of TRL. So I see that no questions were asked in terms of what level of TRL we're expecting. And all I want to highlight is that the nature of the scope of this open call requires you to develop a service or application that will sit on top of the platform and would like you to test and validate your solution, right? So we are really expecting you to develop something that will reach a high TRL at the end of the day, okay? So we want to test in ideally in operational environments and have it close to market. That is what we're really looking for. Moises, Sartor, I don't know if you want to add anything there. No.
In my case, just the usual message I like to give. I'm confident on your proposals to all your participants, and encourage you to take the chance of be a part of what we are building in ODEON.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. So close to 8, 9.
In terms of TRL, yes, I mean 7 to 9.
Yeah, exactly.
But closer,
Well,
the closer the better. Yeah.
yes, exactly. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending the webinar. Again, if you have any questions, please use the Discord. Okay, we are more flexible there. If you have more in-depth questions, go to the help desk, send us an email to the help desk, odeon.helpdesk@fundingbox.com. We will answer those questions. We will answer all of your questions there. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you all to the speakers as well. They have done a tremendous job, and thank you guys for participating. Have a wonderful day, and we expect to see your applications there.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much.
Good luck.
Bye.